The Nigerian Upstream Regulatory Commission, I beg your pardon, Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission has lauded PE Energy Limited's engineering audit report as a key step towards increasing revenue and transparency in the oil and gas sector. Presented by PE Energy CEO Daere Akobo and backed by petroleum ministers, the report highlights site inspection, equipment upgrades, and competency transfer efforts, positioning Nigeria to better manage and monetize its vital natural resources under the Petroleum Industry Act. Daere Akobo, investment research analyst at Chapel Hill Denham, joins me now for this conversation. Hello, Daere. Good morning.
Hi, thank you for having me.
It's always a pleasure. So let's begin with the highlights. Of course, this is aimed to boost oil revenue and transparency. Give us the key details and the highlights of this PE Energy Audit Report.
So we don't have the details of the report, but what I can speak to is the communication from the NUPRC, which states that some of the audit areas that were included were site inspection and evaluation of all upstream metering systems, also the developing strategies, whether there is a need for equipment upgrades and installations and new installations, amongst other things that that were included in the audit areas that were covered. And we believe that this would improve transparency, accuracy in the oil and gas sector, and which in turn will be optimal for revenue collection in the oil and gas sector, upstream oil and gas sector.
We know that there have been a lot of reforms in the oil and gas sector, upstream, downstream, midstream, and it's all for that renewed hope agenda, broader economic reforms. How do you see this contributing to that?
Yeah, I believe that it is going to contribute positively to that, and we highlight that one of the key focus areas of the president's manifesto rather is a focus on the oil and gas industry, and one of which the major goal rather is that the president wants Nigeria to be the preferred investment destination for the petroleum sector in Africa. I believe this, coupled with other policies in the oil and gas sector, aligns with that goal.
And we know Africa is looking very attractive to investors at the moment. Hopefully Nigeria tops that list. But we know that there has been poor metering infrastructure in that sector. What would you say have been the implications of that poor metering infrastructure, especially on national oil revenue?
So to my mind, there are three major implications. One is revenue losses, and this is because if we are underreporting oil production, over a period, it will mean lower tax for the government, lower royalties for the government. Another thing is that poor metering can also result into increase in theft, and which will also is in alignment with revenue losses. So first, revenue losses. Secondly is challenges in efficiency and optimization, in the sense that because of poor metering systems, you are not able to establish if there is a challenge somewhere, and because you are not able to establish the challenge, you are not able to provide correct solutions to those challenges. And lastly is reputational damage. So if there are poor metering systems across the value chain, it will mean that it will mean reputational damage to the country, which in turn discourages investment and also hinders sustainable development in the oil and gas sector.
I mean, hopefully with this initiative we'll have more transparency, especially and boosting of the oil revenue, and it's become more attractive to investors. It's a great initiative. We're not shy or short of initiatives here in Nigeria across board. But implementation has always been the issue. So how do you reckon the NUPRC can ensure full implementation of the audit's recommendations?
My sense is that the NUPRC would, ensure they will put deadlines and timelines to the recommendations that they got from the audit company. Secondly, is to assign people that will be responsible for ensuring implementation of the audit recommendation. And lastly, which I believe is the most important, is regularly monitoring that these audit, recommendations are followed at, different points in time.
I mean, hopefully we see just that happen to drive proper implementation of this. We also know that little by little, step by step, the PIA, Petroleum Industry Act, is coming to life in various aspects of that sector. So what role does the PIA play in enforcing that accurate hydrocarbon measurement?
Like you mentioned, PIA is Petroleum Industry Act, and what an act does is like it's a law that provides legal framework for the oil and gas industry. And I believe that the PIA has played its role in the sense that it has resulted in the establishment of the NUPRC, which its mandate is to ensure that hydrocarbon resources are accurately measured, they are accurately measured and reported over the period of time. So I believe that the PIA has already played its role by establishing the NUPRC, which will continue its mandate of accurately measuring hydrocarbon resources and also reporting it.
All right, so I mean, there's so much going on in that sector, so much to attract investments, right? And we need all the investments we can get. How do you see investors responding to some of the other initiatives and this particular initiative? Hopefully, when it comes to not just the announcements of these initiatives, but the actual implementation, how do you see investors reacting to this within the sector?
That investors react positively to that because, as I mentioned, poor metering systems are a challenge and it discourages investors. So, in a situation where we have better metering systems, I believe that this would encourage investors in the Nigerian oil and gas sector.
And overall impact, right? We're looking at the impact this will have on, will the competency perhaps transfer program have on regulatory efficiency? How do you see that also panning out in the long term?
Okay, to my mind, the competency transfer program just simply means that transfer of knowledge, skills, and best practices from experts, consultants, partner institutions to NUPRC personnel. And I believe that this is a positive one, especially in the long term, as it will ensure or rather enhance the workforce resilience of the NUPRC, which I believe it will be positive for them in the long run.
All right, thank you so much for joining us, Daere Akobo, investment research analyst at Chapel Hill Denham. It's been quite interesting getting your perspective on this development.